Hi everyone, Dave here at East Rosebud Fly and Tackle in Billings, Montana. Good morning. In the previous video, I discussed the differences between this Insta-Jig tungsten head versus your typical slotted tungsten bead head, and how it affects the looks of nymph hooks versus jig hooks. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use one of these Insta-Jig tungsten heads, 7/64 in gold, with a regular nymph hook, Firehole 633, and I'm going to tie a hare's ear nymph for this with you. For the body, I'm going to be using some actual hare's mask, traditional type, the pole for the tail, the cheeks for the actual abdomen, Vivas 10-aught brown for the thread. I'm going to be using the touch dubbing technique, some small French oval gold tinsel, and for the wing case I'm going to be using some dark brown Swiss straw. When the nymphs are ready to emerge, the wing cases always turn very, very dark brown to almost black. That's your key to know that an emergence is imminent and it's time to start fishing a nymph or a floating nymph before the actual hatch occurs. So let's get down to tie a hare's ear nymph for you using this Insta-Jig bead. This is a standard nymph hook, Firehole 633, and we're going to see if I can turn this into a jig looking fly. There's a couple different ways you can get this secured to the hook. Be aware that it does have a tapered hole, so you want to make sure that you're putting in the small hole first. Some people will build up a thread base and then try to slip the bead up over it. I am going to put this bead in around what will be the thorax area of this fly, and I'm just going to use some cross wraps to secure it, some X wraps. It's a quick way to secure it. It doesn't show and it secures the bead extremely well. Like that. Alright. Like I said, it's a little back from the head because this is going to be the thorax area of the fly. It's always difficult to tie with a jig hook, tying it properly, which means that when the hook is on the bottom in the orientation it should be, that the materials are visible on top. I see these flies tied with the wing case on the bottom. Well, the wing case should be up where the fish can see it. That's one of the attributes of that fly. The tail, I'm using standard hare's mask. I'm going to use a little bit of the pole, which is the middle of the mask. This is where you have the long guard hairs. This is a traditional hare's ear tie. Does not take very many fibers. You want to make sure you get all of this fluff and under fur out of there, so that you have this. It's a pretty robust tail. This represents the clinger and the crawler type of mayflies. I won't say that it's easy to get tied in upside down like this, but by using a couple of soft loops, and then I'm going to rotate that to the bottom, like so. Okay. Get that tied down securely. And then secure the butts up to the bead. Now, wire seems to be in fashion these days a lot for making ribs. I'm going to use the old conventional French oval tinsel. This is a size small in gold. It's an important part of the hare's ear, is a good bold rib on it. Shows the segmentation, gives it a little bit of flash. And again, what you want is a soft loop. For that, your thread must be flat. If you bring your thread up and it wants to hook, that means you have some twist in it. So just spin it counterclockwise until it's flat. We'll tie this down all the way to the butt of the tail. I'm going to bring my thread back up because I'm going to dub in two different directions. I'm going to be using the touch dubbing technique. For that, you really need a good tacky wax. I like this Overton's Wonder Wax. It does not dry out. And I'm going to be using some fur from the cheeks of the rabbit. This is the softer fur, which you typically use on the abdomen. Has a lot of under fur to it. And then simply just blend it. I do want some of those guard hairs in there. Just blend it with your fingers. If you're going to be tying a lot of this, then I suggest you use the air can and Ziploc bag. I did a video on that last year. It allows you to mix a lot very quickly. So I'm simply going to stroke this wax on the thread. One thing about using extra sticky wax, you do not want a bunch of it sticking above the tube itself, or you'll get clots of wax on the thread. So you just want a little bit showing. Then I'm going to hold the hair behind the thread and simply paste it on. The reason I dub down and back is that the extra thread wraps helps to secure this to the actual fly. Keep it sparse. Remember, you're going in both directions. You don't need a lot of dubbing. Wrap it in not quite touching turns. We want to give this a really buggy effect. We tend to tie our flies too neat. You often find that after you've caught a couple of fish on a fly, it fishes better because it's rougher looking and more natural. Okay? If you do a direct dub with that, just twist it on the thread, you will not get that look. It's impossible. So now we're going to take our tinsel here and make just 2 or 3 wraps. It's not important to get a bunch of wraps, it's just important to have that ribbed aspect. So right up to the back of the bead, a couple of thread wraps to cut it off. Being not wire, you don't have to worry about it ruining your scissors. Now for the wing case, I'm just using a piece of dark brown Swiss straw. I've just folded it out all the way, and then I'm going to take it 1/2 of a strip and fold it in half. This gives me the right width, which should be about hook gap, a little less, and also gives me a little more strength. Make sure your thread is flat and just catch the butt end of that right at the back of the bead. Tie it down nice and securely. And I'm going to touch dub just a little bit more to get up towards the head. So a little bit more of the cheek fur from the hare's mask. Blend it up good. We're not going very far here, so we don't need a long patch of string dubbed. And just touch it to the back. Again, keep it sparse. The wrap behind, come in front, a couple of wraps there. I'm going to bring this Swiss straw over the top, snug it up, tie it down. To me, this is where the wing case belongs when you're tying a jig style fly, not on the bottom of the hook where nobody can see it, including the trout. Trim that off. Going to pull some hair back a little bit from the hook eye. Excuse my fingers. And get a bit of a thread head. Make sure that wing case is secured. quick finish. So there you have a nice fuzzy hare's ear nymph, and I don't think that the jig bead detracts from it at all. It turned a nymph hook into a jig hook simply by using a different bead. So keep that in mind next time you're tying a jig hook. Take a look at the Insta-Jig tungsten heads. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.